Hi, and welcome to TRC's Google Map Street View tutorial for use in running virtual car rallies. First thing we want to do is start a browser. So I'm going to start Edge. This works equally well in Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and perhaps others. Next thing we want to do is to open Google Maps. So that's google.com/maps. Okay. And the next thing we do is go to a location that we want to begin at. So I'm going to use a previous location that I've used, Hamilton and Lee in Campbell. Now, this is something you can type in as well. And this brings us to that location. So first thing once we're here is to notice our friend Pegman, this orange guy in the bottom right. And we click on him and you'll notice that lots of streets turn blue. Any of those places are ones where we can see Street View. So let's go ahead and put him on a street. I'm going to put him on Willow Street here. This gives us a street view of that location. In the lower left is a small map, and we will click the expand. This gives us a split screen where the top half is the street view and the bottom half is the map. There's a divider in the middle here where we can control the size of the two if we prefer one being larger than the other. Now let's talk about each of these halves. So the top half is the street view, and we can use the mouse, hold down the button and drag to look around like this. So that's one way to go back and forth and turn around. The other way to do that is with the left and right arrow keys. I'm hitting the left key here, hitting the right key here. With the mouse, we can also go up and down, and that can be useful for looking at signs, as we'll see in a moment. We have this plus and minus that lets us zoom in. Will also be useful combined with moving up and down to read signs. And zoom out is the minus sign. As we're turning around, you may wonder, well, what direction are we headed? So there's a couple ways to tell. The easiest way is to look on the bottom half at this little arrow from Pegman. So you notice as we're turning the top half, that arrow on the bottom is moving. So if we rotate here where the arrow is pointing up, that's north. That's also indicated by the red pointing up on this compass. It's not exactly a compass, but it can help locate north. So as we turn here, that's heading east. You can rotate further, that's heading south, and over there we're heading west. Okay, now let's go find a sign. Here, let's turn around and go to our next intersection here. And if we want to read the signs, I just moved towards it. Now in moving, we'll cover that first. So we can click the map, click the mouse, and that moves forward. We can click far to go a little farther, or click near to go a little closer. The up and down arrows are also quite useful. So hitting the up arrow goes forward, clicking the down arrow is by far the best way to go backwards. Okay, so let's come back to this intersection here to be able to read this sign. And so I'm using a combination of moving and the zooming in and the up down to get closer to the sign so I can best read it. And I can see Phantom pretty well. The cross street is Willow, but it's not terribly clear. So I may zoom back out, move a little bit further down the road one way or another, zoom in again, and I can read that better. In this rally, it's perfectly okay to go ahead and look at the back of a sign if the front of the sign is hard to read. So we just go past it, turn around, and look at the sign. just for the purposes of confirming the sign, you can assume that the front of the sign reads the same as the back of the sign, for street signs, of course. One other thing about street signs is only use the government erected signs. You can see a phantom on the road here, and Phantom's a good example because it's not really there. That's something added by Google. It's informational, but it is not used by the rally. You cannot use that as a sign. One other thing, how do you turn a corner? We talked about going forward and backwards. So here we are on a street, and let's say we want to turn right. So we'll get up to the intersection. We click and drag to be heading in the direction we want to go, and we just go. That's all there is to it. Now let's talk about the bottom half here. This is a map, of course, and it also has a plus and a minus to zoom in, or a minus to zoom out. You can click and drag to go to a different part of the map, up, down, left, right. And that's about it for the map by itself. A very valuable thing, though, is the relationship of the top and the bottom. So as we move around using the top here, you can notice, if you're watching Pegman, that he follows us. And perhaps the most valuable thing of all is you can click on the map and Pegman will move to that new location. So this can be very handy in a lot of cases. Perhaps you want to go back to take a look at a previous intersection again. You can jump right to it. There may be some traverse sections where you want to jump a couple of miles, and rather than go down the road one click at a time, you can jump directly there. Okay, so that concludes the introduction there. A recommendation is go and use this Google Maps Street View in your own neighborhood. Move around, view some signs, jump from one location to another. If you're comfortable using Google Maps Street View before the rally, you'll enjoy the rally a lot more. Thanks for watching, and see you at the rally.